Today's episode is brought to you by the Twisted Fork. Eat, drink, and enjoy. Annie Haggerty, how are you?
I'm great, thanks.
And we got Phil Massey.
How you doing, sir?
We have two local legends here in the studio today. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks
You're
for inviting us.
I'm actually happy to have you because we right before camera, we were telling about all these wonderful stories, and these are stories we're going to share today for our listeners. They're going to be infatuated with some of the wonderful things you have. You're both very connected to the local music scene, and you both have deep, deep roots in this community and Southern rock, safe to say, right?
Yeah.
Allman Brothers, Dickie Betts, the list goes on and on. So we're going to get right into it. So Annie, I'm going to start with you. So Annie, where are you from?
I am originally from Cleveland, but my family's been in Sarasota for generations. So it was the Cummer family, and my dad was a judge here, juvenile judge actually, here for years and years.
So we're talking about when Sarasota was completely different. It wasn't developed.
No,
The beaches were beautiful and pristine, right? And it was just a beautiful place to live.
It was gorgeous. Yeah.
Not that it's not now, but
yeah,
it's
was
different.
It's different.
It was a
you
different
saw what
place.
Sarasota was meant to be.
Exactly.
And yourself, Phil, where are you from?
Well, I was born in Indiana. I was only there a month. My parents hadn't pissed me off, so when I moved to Kentucky, I took them with me. Then I moved down here in 1951.
So you were raised in Kentucky.
Well, never grew up anywhere, but I was only 5.5 when I moved from Kentucky down here.
Gotcha. So you really grew up here.
Well, basically, that
Right.
22 years on the road.
So you're both from the Sarasota-Bradenton area.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And so some of these pictures I was looking at, and we're going to share this with the viewers within the show, but you have some really beautiful pictures. I mean, you're obviously a beautiful woman, but the motorcycle stuff, tell us about that. You're a motorcycle champion?
Yeah, I was the first woman ever to drag race in the area, and the first woman, as far as I know, in America anyway, to run nitroglycerin.
But what got you into that? Like, why did you do that?
Okay, so Sid Yoakum was my best friend in the world, and Jimmy McDonough was McDonough Plumbing, if everybody knows them, was a genius mechanic. And they decided to build me this motorcycle so that I would be able to race.
Yeah, but you're just this beautiful blonde young woman who you would think would be cheerleading or dancing as opposed to riding bicycles. I mean, it's just it's crazy. Did your father, your brothers, or did you have girl? You just what?
My father and my brother are both lawyers, so no.
Interesting.
No, it was something they taught me to ride motorcycles to start with, and then
You fell in love with it.
I fell in love with it.
Awesome.
And they built me a bunch of different Harleys.
So when you were competing, you were the only woman that was competing up against
Not
men?
only was I the only woman, but I was the only woman that ran nitroglycerin. Period.
So explain that to our listeners. What's the difference between nitroglycerin and regular fuel?
Well, it's jet fuel. It's typically jet fuel, and it made the bike go so fast with such power that they used to have to tie me onto the handlebars not to blow off.
Right, because you were probably like 97 pounds or something.
I was 99 pounds, actually.
That's funny. I was close.
Yeah. So weight is everything when you're drag racing. And so, and that bike was so powerful that we were at the Gainesville drag strip, and they have the wheels. I don't know if you know, but to start a motorcycle when you're dragging, you don't have a kickstart or anything. So they have rollers in the asphalt, and it's just like jump starting a car,
Cool.
only. Well, we took my bike down to start it, and it pulled the rollers right out of the asphalt.
So you literally took off like a rocket.
Exactly.
And you beat a lot of men.
Yeah, I went about 210 miles an hour
That's insane.
in a quarter.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So tell us about your connection with the Betts family.
Okay, so when I was 16, I graduated from high school and moved out on my own. I had a small little house on Oak Street. And one day I was out hanging up the wash, and two guys were out there working on their motorcycles. And that was Jimmy and Sid Yoakum. And they said, "You want to take a ride on your motorcycle?" And I said, "Of course." I did. And anyway, they ended up moving in, and they were my family for 4 years.
Approximately
at
what year
least.
would you say this
That
was?
was 1965.
Okay. So 65 was the time when everybody was cool and people actually hung out with each other and, they partied, right? It was like, it
Right.
was that summer of love, pre-summer of love,
No
right?
cell phones, no beepers, none of that stuff.
Right. No
Right.
assholes.
Right.
Well, there was plenty of them, but we all was able to get along.
Well, your group obviously was
So
great.
it was Sid that introduced me to Dickie, and everybody used to come over to our house because everybody else lived with their parents, just about.
So you were the cool kids in the cool house.
When everybody, if you wanted to work on your motorcycles, you brought them over to our house to work on them.
So could you imagine? I mean, I'm thinking right now how fun that must have been. I'm thinking like a movie. Like you should write a movie about this because you guys are fixing bikes. You're probably having drinks and you're playing guitars inside, right?
That's right.
How great was that?
Yep. So that was Dickie was just in some of the first bands at that time, and Barry came into the band, the
Oakley.
original band.
Barry
yeah.
Oakley, you talking about?
Mm-hmm. Barry Oakley. So
Great bass
we
player.
all rode motorcycles, and Joe Dan Petty all rode motorcycles together.
Oh my
Grind the
God.
switch.
Eat a peach. Unfortunately, him and Dwayne died on bike motorcycles.
Yes, they did.
That-
And they were on motorcycles a lot of us worked on. You'll see pictures in there of them on those bikes.
Okay, so it's the 60s. You got this wonderful house. Everybody's having a great time, racing motorcycles, playing guitars.
Right.
So the Allman Brothers were forming. Now, I believe that they were out of Macon, right? Weren't they them?
They were not out of
No.
Macon. They were never out of Macon. And that we all, Twinkle and I always say that makes us so angry that
California.
Macon takes the.
Well, let's explain. That's a great thing because
So we'll explain. So Dickie and Dale, who was his wife, have a child named Christy. And Christy, when they went off to play out of town, they would leave Christy with Sid and me to take care of him. So one day, this was in 1969, they were in Jacksonville, and they called us up and said they were only supposed to be gone 3 days. And they called us up and said, "Can you watch Christy for another couple of days? We got something going on." And we said, "Yeah, sure." So they came back to get Christy with Dwayne and Barry and Butch and everybody but Greg. They came back to our house, and Dickie was so excited. He said, Annie, you got to listen to this. You won't believe it. And he and Dwayne sat down on our couch and started playing together. So they had been 3 days played before. So they were 3 days into
so
playing.
they were so thrilled because it was such a great sound, and they knew there was chemistry there. I bet. Right?
Yeah,
Very.
yeah,
very much.
they were so excited that they did it, and that was before Greg. So it was
Because the
early.
story was they had to convince Greg to come into the band because
And we were the only ones with telephone, so they came to our house to call Greg in L.A. to try to talk him into coming down. But he and Dwayne had a fight, and they weren't doing well together. So Greg was sort of hesitant to come, but he hitchhiked down, and so I was there when he first.
So you know the stories that are not in the books.
Not
None
in the
of
book.
my stories.
Not in the
But
books.
so getting back to Macon, because there is like a museum there that I went to see, and
The
there's
big house.
The big
obviously there's a
house,
graveyard
yeah.
where apparently they're buried.
Right.
But so explain that then, because when I worked in Macon for a short period of time, I was a sales trainer, and I used to go to all these different newspaper companies, and the Macon paper was there. So I spent a couple nights there, and I went to Otis Redding's Cafe, in Macon. But they take you to the house, they take you to the grave, and there's part of a tour.
Right.
And they said that this is where they all lived, and this is where they all.
And
made
they
music.
did, but
Yeah.
it was after the
Way
time
after
that
this.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, way after this.
So there weren't any Allman Brothers. They all played together, but they didn't have a name, the Allman Brothers. And they played around here because Dickie had all the connections,
Almond Joy, was that?
No, Almond Joy was the name of the band that they had in L.A.,
Yeah.
which was just Greg and Dwayne.
Cool.
But this was after that. So Dwayne came down to Muscle Shoals to be a session player. He left L.A.,
Sky Dog.
and that's where he got the name Skydog, right?
Wow. Muscle
And-
Shows is world famous, man. That
That's
was the
right.
place back then where everybody went.
And so he was a session player there. And then he would go back to Jacksonville because he had to earn a little bit more money and try to, do a gig or two there. And that's where he met Dickie and everybody else. So anyway, and then they would spend a lot of time in Sarasota and at our house, as I said, because everybody lived with their parents, trying to get their chops in, together, having a place to play and make a little money.
So think about this. Songs were written on your couch.
Yes.
That became world famous.
Yes.
How cool is that?
Actually, whipping posts, Greg brought whipping post in. I have a story about that. And he was auditioning for the band, right? Because they were deciding if they were going to have him or not as the singer. And Whipping Post was one of the songs that he had brought. And he did 2 or 3 other songs, and the guys went, I don't think so. We're not doing that. But when they did Whipping Post, then they said, okay, well, we'll try this. And they worked on it day after day after day to the point that Dale and I couldn't even stay in the house.
Did they bring in, they bring in drums and they brought in like all the stuff in your house?
Everything, yeah.
Because they had to bring in an organ, which is probably a pain in the ass.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a big
It wasn't
organ.
a big B3.
It was just a little.
So you're letting them rehearse in your house. They're creating masterpieces.
Right.
And you're probably trying to get some sleep. And there were kids there too in the house at the same time, right?
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Depended. And anyway, so they played various places around here, Fort Myers, various different places. And they didn't have a truck or anything. But I had a motorcycle trailer because, I used it for my bikes to get for racing and everything. So we would Sid and I would load up all the equipment on motorcycle trailers. Everybody else had motorcycles. So unless you had the money to rent a U-Haul, they couldn't get to the gigs. So anyway, I was the first roadie.
A lot of musicians struggle financially, right? They don't have the resources, the access. So you were huge for them in their development. I mean, let's face it, there might not have been an Allman Brothers band as we know it without you.
Maybe. But anyway, the point being, you were asking about Macon. Eventually, they got Twiggs as their manager, Twiggs Lydon. And he talked them into going up to Macon, to Capricorn Studios to record. And that's how they got to Macon.
So that first album came out, which was a masterpiece.
Yeah. Did
you stay with the band? Did you go to the shows as they got bigger and better? And did you?
Well, that was the thing. Sid was very, very protective of me. And when there started to be major drugs, I was never allowed to go anymore. Or I had to be chaperoned. Joe Dan would go with me. And if it got too bad, poor Joe Dan had to take me back to...
Joe Dan was a delivery boy for you.
Yeah. Had to take me back to Sarasota. So I was not in on all the big bad stuff. He can tell you a lot more about that than I can. But I could always go whenever I wanted, go to visit.
Could you describe what Dickie Betts was like, his personality? What do you remember the best of him, his best attributes back then when you guys were just younger?
Oh, he was a sweet, wonderful guy, brilliant to start with. And of course, a musician just as good as he ever was in the very beginning. So it's hard, a lot of people have to take a long time to develop the kind of skill that he had. But when I knew him in 65, he was already that good.
When you were watching him perform, maybe it might have just been the two of you there, were you just blown away even at that point? You're like, oh my gosh, this guy's amazing?
Well, I knew that he was amazing to start with. And of course, I heard him all the time because they were at our house even before the Allman Brothers. Everybody hung out there. Many a night that I'd be lying in bed and they'd be out on the couch, he and Sid playing. It was just beautiful.
One of the the biggest commercial success of the Allmans was Rambling Man. There's no doubt. That particular song struck a lot of chords with people, and it was played all over the world.
Right.
It's one of the most famous songs. I mean, they're known for that.
Actually, Twinkle and I were in Scotland, and we heard it playing on a bunch of, piped in music in stores and stuff.
So during the composition of Brothers and Sisters is the album I'm referring to. Of all the Allman Brother albums, and there's so many good ones, right? Fillmore, Eat a Peach. I like Brothers and Sisters. To me, that's my favorite.
Yeah.
That's when they had their ranch up in Juliet, Georgia.
Okay.
Forsyth.
Because they took a picture of all those beautiful leaves, and somebody's kid was on there. Somebody's kid's on the cover. One of their babies. I don't know which one it was. But there's so many good songs on there. Southbound, right? Melissa. Greg tells a great story about how he wrote Melissa. And how
grocery store.
The grocery store. and he got the name Melissa from the clerk's daughter.
Yes, and the story that you probably haven't heard is he had that song, right? But it didn't have music to it.
And it didn't have a name.
And it didn't have a name. And Dickie gave him the music for his birthday, wrote the music for it. But everybody thinks that it was all Greg's song. It was Greg's words.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of collaboration back then, right?
Yeah.
So there's publishing. I mean, but maybe they weren't thinking about publishing and legal stuff back then, right?
No, the song was
it's
all
a
put
beautiful
together
song.
before they were publishing it.
Is it safe to say, like, is that one of your top Allman Brothers? Like, how would you? Here's a good question. What are your favorite Allman Brothers songs to this day?
7 Turns,
Oh, so good.
One Way Out, Blue Sky. They would be my
Those
three
are
favorite.
3 good ones. How about you, Phil?
Well, you got Ramblin' Man, you got Jessica, the instrumental.
Jessica. That's a masterpiece.
It
How about
is.
Elizabeth Reed? I mean, how do these guys think about that?
And
Like, how do they write
Elizabeth
that
Reed.
stuff?
Yeah.
I mean, that's complex,
Yeah.
right?
I have had musical people and teachers, music teachers and stuff saying they couldn't even score the songs.
That's why those guys were geniuses.
That's right.
I mean, I think Dickie wrote Elizabeth Reed, right?
He wrote all of those things that we
but
just,
he wasn't
everyone
trained.
we just said.
He
wrote.
wasn't trained. Like, he didn't go to music school.
No.
The universe just spoke to him.
He
man.
started off with a banjo.
The universe opened up and spoke to him, and he captured it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
how it happens.
Right.
And he's up there with like Beethoven, and like Paul McCartney's in that group, like just geniuses.
Exactly.
And I hope that he gets the credit. I mean, I was talking earlier before the show, I think he's one of the greatest American guitar players, and on a very short list.
Right.
You take all the British guys out, and you just have the American
Yeah.
guys. He's up there.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's a cultural icon. I mean, the songs that he put together, Blue Sky. Somebody just texted me Blue Sky, like, hey, listen to this version of Blue Sky. I mean, it's still relevant to this day.
Yeah, you hear all of his songs all the time. And Jessica's on everything, TV commercials and all kinds of stuff.
So folks that are listening to this podcast that aren't from this area, there's a little history here. So Sarasota-Bradenton is very rich with almonds and Betts stuff. So there are some bands here that some local cover bands that will whip out a few songs. Like Kettlefish is a great example. Dana Lawrence, great guy. Well, they'll come out and the crowd just gets into a frenzy, man. And they start playing this stuff, and it's just so good.
It's wonderful. And, when they first started playing in this area, people didn't even know what hit them. It was just amazing because right out of the very beginning, they still sounded almost as good as they did.
Well, think about
2
it.
years in.
It was rock and roll with a blues influence. It was blues rock.
Yeah.
So the term Southern rock wasn't invented yet.
No.
Right.
No.
But one of the things that we wanted to mention was the Yoakums, and Sid Yoakum particularly, was the reason that all of this came together. That we knew
So
them.
let's talk about Sid. So explain to
let's
us who
talk
Sid
about
was.
So Sid Yoakum was also a musician, by the way, and a very, very good one.
And his son as well.
Yeah, and his son Tucker is just fabulous. But he was friends with Dickie, and he is the one that got everybody together to start with. And then eventually he drove all the trucks, owned all the trucks that Allman Brothers had, and then Charlie Daniels and Marshall Tucker.
So it became an industry. It turned into an industry.
Called Stagecoach was the name of his business. So he developed from this, nothing, to making that huge thing for all 3 bands. It was fabulous.
So take us up then to this 1970.
So in 1970 was when the Allman Brothers went, late 69, 1970, when they went to Macon. And they would come back frequently because they weren't making any money, and they were in Macon. And they were long-haired hippies in Macon, Georgia, with a black drummer. You can imagine what their life was like.
Yeah, J-Mo.
Yeah, J-Mo. Well, J.
and
Johnny.
Butch they had 2 drummers, which was unique, right?
Exactly.
That was cutting edge right there, just having that.
Yeah.
Because they were both sit-down drummers.
But they were very different. J. Johnny was blues, and Butch was formally trained. He went to FSU for music. He was the only one of the boys.
Little sidecar here. Isn't it incredible, Derek Trucks, like how talented he is?
Yes.
He is.
Isn't that insane?
Fabulous.
Absolutely. They say he's one of the best slide guitar players in the world now.
He is.
In the world.
He absolutely is. And, he got his start by playing with Allman Brothers.
Right.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
His
he played
dad let him
with-
sit in once in a while, right?
No, he played with Allman Brothers for what, 2 or 3 years.
Pretty good.
Oh no,
Yeah.
yeah. When he was an adult, yeah.
No, when he was young, he was a
No,
teenager.
but I remember going to the Beacon Theater for those runs, and I remember seeing him with the other guy from Government Mule,
Warren Haynes.
Warren Haynes.
Yeah, but Derek was with the Allman Brothers as a young teenager.
Cool.
So, and they had let him, sit in when he was a kid, actually. So, but Dickie was a big mentor for Derek.
Okay, so now could we talk about the riff that happened between Dickie and Greg? Like that got ugly, right? I mean, what happened there?
It started at the very start.
Yeah, it was from the beginning that they were, I don't know, just
Was it a
oil and water.
a creative problem? Like
No.
maybe
No.
were they jealous of each
No,
other?
I think Dickie didn't think he was professional enough,
As
and
well as the fact
yeah,
of his wife.
yeah. Well, we won't go to that, but anyway, and Greg had a very large idea of his importance, and Dickie wasn't like that at all.
Gotcha.
He was very, very low key. Anybody that came up to him and wanted an autograph or advice or whatever, he
was
always there. He was always
He was a
there.
true artist. I mean, he composed music. He was he was that guy, whereas maybe Greg was the opposite, right?
Yeah,
He
exactly.
was a very good looking. Greg was a very good looking guy.
and he
with
was
lot
a
of
showman. Greg was
Yeah.
a showman, but that wasn't Dickie.
Plus, I mean,
No.
there was a lot of alcohol going on too, which didn't
Well,
add
yeah,
fuel to the fire.
a lot of
obviously.
alcohol and drugs. And
lot of drugs.
actually, Greg was doing that when he first came. So he was the beginning of all that.
So did it get worse when Dwayne left? Because maybe Dwayne might have been the buffer when Dwayne left, or when he
Died.
passed. When he passed,
I think, it probably did.
He
What do you
got really
think?
bad.
Yeah, it got really bad. We need to pass it to Phil now.
okay, well, good. So thank you for that. So
Mm-hmm.
now, Phil, we're going to pick up the story because then you got into the picture in the 70s, right? So why don't we talk about that?
Yeah, I started working with Dickie, with the Allman Brothers, so to speak, when they had the ranch.
But how did you get introduced? Where did you come from?
Sid.
I've known him since 1951.
All right, so Sid said, "Hey, you want to work with Dickie?" Is that how it happened? Or-
Well, I've known Dickie since I went to elementary school with him. So
Okay.
So I mean, we just knew each other, and then whenever they needed something, I mean, I worked with the Allman Brothers, I worked with Charlie Daniels, I worked with all these people that we all
So
had
you were
worked
a
with.
close friend of them, personal friend.
Yeah, knew him for 73 years before he died. But anyway, we were doing anywhere from like Greg Allman's second laid back to this is a little later on. I was with him mainly like around the 74 on different things because I was working with Nitty Gritty Dirt Band and Marshall Tucker and other people at the time. So I Charlie Daniels. I mean, I worked with a bunch of different people, but I started working with Dickie in '74, I think it was.
In what capacity?
Actually, I'm just hanging out with him and stuff, running back and forth, doing things for him because he was still building his house out on the ranch. When him and Blue Sky were together, and they had their baby Jessica at the time. Their house wasn't even finished. In fact, I got a picture of Blue Sky, Sandy, bathing Jessica in the kitchen sink because the bathroom wasn't done. But I just hanging out, knowing him all my life. So then we started working together, doing different things. It depends on who I was working for. And I was all over.
And Sid had was running the trucks, etc., for Allman Brothers. This was before he had his own company. So he was the driver of the big.
So they started
semis.
touring the U.S., right? So these trucks were needed, right, to get all the gear
Oh, yeah.
all over.
That's
right?
back when you had to have 2 or 3 tractor trailer loads of stuff instead of a pickup truck now,
Right,
Because of the
Yeah, the
electronics.
motorcycle trailer days were over,
right.
right?
Because the gear got bigger. Because back then it's big, and there's trussing, right, and staging, all that
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of shit too.
And you have so many people working on the backstage setups that you have to accommodate
Right.
them also along with the band.
So the first album was just the Allman Brothers, right? And then I think Idlewild South was might have been the second. And then I think Eat a Peach was third. Is that how it goes?
I'm not sure which way they
I know
came
I don't know where when the Fillmore record came. Okay, so
That was their third record.
That was the
Fillmore.
third. So people say the Fillmore is one of still to this day it's ranked as one of the greatest live recordings ever made.
Exactly. It was. And that's what really set their whole career off. They were known, of course, in this area, Atlanta, those kind of places. But as far as all of America, let alone the world, they didn't have any recognition of who the Allman Brothers
And then
were.
the term Southern rock came out because there was Leonard Skinner at the time, right?
Ronnie Van Zant.
There were the Outlaws, right?
Henry Paul.
Henry Paul in the Outlaws, right?
Yeah.
Then you had little offshoots of that, like Molly Hatchet, right? And now Charlie Daniels was always there. He was a Tennessee guy.
Oh, yeah.
And Tucker.
Marshall Tucker, South Carolina, Spartanburg.
So one time I went to a concert in Philadelphia back in the 80s, and it was called The Roundup, and it was Marshall Tucker, Charlie Daniels, the Outlaws.
Yeah.
Somebody else, and then Allman's closed. There were 5 bands at RFK Stadium in Washington or Philadelphia, I think it was. It was amazing. It was sold out.
You never know who was going to play the headliner because one part of the country, let's say Charlie Daniels was better than the Allman. I mean, more
well known.
More well known.
Charlie Daniels to me and Marshall Tucker are kind of in the same kind of country boy category. They're a little softer, right? Stringed instruments. Whereas the Allmans to me was a fusion of rock meets blues meets jazz.
Right.
They were an orchestra. They were really, truly an orchestra. I mean, that's the way those things fit together. Whereas other bands, were bands, but to me, they were.
But the term came out jam band, like because they were doing it on the East Coast. I guess the Dead was doing it out on the West Coast.
Yeah, right.
Where they would go into a regular 3-minute and 33 song that you hear on the radio, but then they would extend it and jam on it,
Right.
and everybody would contribute to it, and it would go all different directions,
It used
and
to
then
be-
it would come back to an end where it needed to.
It used to be like 3-minute to 3.5-minute songs was what they played on radio stations.
Right.
And then you get into these 22-minute ones and stuff.
Yeah, it was they space out and jam out. Some of it might have been drug and alcohol fueled,
Hour
but some of the best
Imagine.
artists created that way, right? I
Exactly.
mean, they were creating art
Yeah,
live.
there's so many songs that's made from drugs, or what the drugs did to the people.
Of course,
too.
that's a fact. I mean, you could talk to any band in the 70s that needed some kind of inspiration. I mean, even before drugs, there was always wine and alcohol. I'm sure the guys in the 50s were doing something to write music, right? I mean, it's just whatever's at hand for an artist.
Reefer Madness.
Yeah. But I think to me, the Allman Brothers are the greatest. Well, first of all, if you have to coin Southern rock, to me, I'm going to say they're the greatest Southern rock band of all time.
Right.
They're one of the greatest American bands. I mean, there's an argument that maybe they and the Eagles are probably the top 2 greatest bands ever. Album sales, concert sales, their status in society, like the cultural icons that they've become.
And they couldn't have been any different than they were.
Now, do you guys still listen to that music when you're rolling around in your car?
Oh, yeah.
You still got
Sure.
You got it on?
Actually, I just came back from being on the tour bus with Marshall Tucker 2 days ago down in Immokalee.
Chris Hicks.
Chris Hicks.
Chris Hicks. I want to get him on the show. Maybe you can help me get him on the show.
I can, sure.
Because Chris Anderson had such a wonderful show that
Yeah.
I said, hey, why don't we get your buddy Chris Hicks? But
Yeah.
these guys are traveling. They're still working. I mean, these guys are hustling, right?
Yep. They do about 250 shows all over the United States. Every
Now,
year.
the original singer of Marshall Tucker, the Caldwell brothers, right? There was Toy Caldwell.
Toy
And who was
Tommy.
the other cat?
And
Toy or Tommy?
Mhm.
Tommy was a bass player. Toy was the lead guitar and slide.
But who was the one with the voice that had
Yeah,
that?
Doug Gray.
That was Toy.
Oh, my
And
God.
Doug Gray.
Well, yeah,
That
mainly
voice.
Toy. But I mean, the main singer in there was Doug, though.
Doug Gray.
Heard It in a Love Song.
Yeah, that's Doug Gray.
I mean, their number one song has to be Can't You See? I mean, my band covers that and people love it. They love it. And we do our own version of it.
So we just played that song day before yesterday at Hard Rock in Immokalee, and I'll show you the picture. The crowd was huge,
Yeah.
and they still went completely crazy.
Well, here's the thing, okay? There's a lot of people here in their 60s and 70s, okay, that love that music and they'll take it to the grave. I mean, that was such a strong, important part of their life. The best music that was written and composed in the 70s, I believe.
That's right.
I mean, nothing against the 80s. 80s was fun, right? 90s was fun. But the 70s, man, especially 71 and 73 are 2 years.
I
That
think
jumped
they
out at
were
me.
the real creative times.
Oh, my God.
For
I could do a whole entire show on just the records that came out in 1973.
Right,
Sure.
right. Easy.
One of my favorite 70s guys was Elton John.
Yeah.
To me, Elton John is like Mr. 70s in my book. But the Allmans kept cranking out records, Skinner had a couple really, really tight ones.
Oh, yeah.
And every FM radio station, now I was in New York, so we had 2 really good FM classic rock stations back then, where the DJs actually would play the songs.
Yeah.
It wasn't some AI computer.
Right.
And then when the guys were in town, they'd pop into the studio for a
Right.
live interview.
Right.
Yeah.
Remember those days?
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Well,
Did
now
you
you got
love-
Sirius XM, but they still do the same thing.
Did you love to go to concerts and feel that electricity? You know, I saw you at Tedeschi Trucks.
Yeah.
You go to a lot of shows, don't you?
I try to. I'm getting too old to do much anymore.
But you're always in the front row, man, for some reason. Every time I'm sitting in the back, I see, oh, that's Philly's in the front. You're connected, man.
Well, I ran with a bunch of them for 22 years.
One of the things we were just talking about is the fact that neither one of us have ever been anywhere but up on stage on the side.
Yeah.
You know, so almost all the great concerts that we were at, we were on.
Did you go to Dickie's birthday at the Van Wezel?
I was there.
When he came out at the very end. I was there too.
Backstage.
He came out, he was in a wheelchair at the time, and I guess
Right.
it was his birthday, so we sang happy birthday to him. And there was a lot of family were there, and I guess you were part of that group, right?
I was there.
That was very nice. I had a chance to see him at the White Buffalo. I think that might have been one of his last live shows. He played the White Buffalo. Remember that? Was that
A long time ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, several years ago. His son was standing next to him, and I think Damon Fowler was playing guitar. The guy on bass, what's his name? Oh God, he's such a good bass player.
Pedro.
Pedro's an amazing musician.
Yes, he is.
Didn't he die?
No.
Oh, I thought
Pedro
he died.
Alvarado. No,
Okay.
he's with Dwayne right now.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know.
So let's talk about that, because the Allman Betts band is still out there rocking.
Kicking ass. Doing excellent.
They're doing
In
very
fact,
well.
Warren Haynes plays with him a lot just because they're all such good friends. And Pedro is a bass player for him.
Yeah, Pedro's crazy.
Mhm.
There was a time when Warren Haynes, well, you and I were at the same concert. He came up and played with Tedeschi Trucks.
All right.
So he played with Susan
Right.
at that concert at the Bay Care Center in Clearwater,
Right.
which was a great concert. Whenever they come to town, Tedeschi Trucks, I have to see them. Are you a fan of theirs as well?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Her voice is, to me, one of the greatest female blues voices
It is.
of all time. I mean, she's up there with Aretha.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And I hear she's a really beautiful, wonderful, sweet
Very
person.
great people.
Yeah, they're both really good and not stuck up at all. You know, they're not the typical star kind of people. They're just down
You know
to
why?
earth.
Because I think it comes down to where you were born, how you were raised,
Yeah.
being humble, right? Being grateful.
Yeah,
You
but you can see that he being raised as who he was, you know, and the connections that he had, he might not have been that way.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you suppose a young boy at that age has to be sheltered from the sex and the drugs and the rock and roll? It could be a deterrent,
Hmm.
because he seems to have won whatever, he's the best at what he does. So his craft is everything. So obviously he focused on that, and that's what he
He
did.
always had it together.
Right, but it wasn't like you never hear about him getting in a car wreck because he was drunk.
Mm-mm.
Like he's not one of those
No.
guys, right?
No, he wasn't really ever one of those guys. He was together from the time he was a teenager.
He was pushed by the family and the influence he grew up in. All the Allman Brothers and so on.
So is there one particular Allman Brothers show that stands out to you as one of your favorites of all time, like the one particular night,
What
one
do you
particular
think?
show?
They all were great most of the time.
For me, and I know that's funny that I'm saying this, but for me, it was a show that we did in Fort Myers, and it was the first time that anybody had heard them down here, and they played, and people were just completely awestruck. They couldn't believe it. They didn't even know what that music was at the time. And
Back in the early 60s, right?
this would have been 69. Yeah.
69,
March, April, maybe of 69.
Yeah.
And it was so good that they would not let them stop playing. And we played all night long.
Yeah, I heard that they were known for that. They were known for playing long sets, late night.
But this was all night long.
Yeah.
And, and this was before they were.
Because at that time, nobody heard those kind of compositions and those
No,
arrangements.
they didn't even
Right?
understand what Southern rock was.
But it wasn't Southern yet.
Not yet,
It
no.
was a sophistication to it. It was like rock and roll that was on some kind of blues, infused steroid.
And jazz.
Because that bash. So like they're
Yeah.
doing the bass playing was phenomenal. They have the two drummers, so it's almost tribal in some cases, right? The sound of Greg's voice. I mean, when Greg his voice got better as he got older, which is right.
Yeah, it matured. Yes.
And there's an album called Back to Macon, and it's a video goes with it, like a DVD and a record. And he probably his last show that he did in Macon, and he was standing upright, playing guitar, and his hair was long, blonde hair. He looked great, and he had a bunch of young hotshot musicians in his band, and they went through and did Hotlanta, and they did like all these really classic numbers, and his voice was so. It's every time I listen to it, I'm like, that's an American blues singer right there,
Right.
the best.
He was wonderful. Wonderful singer. Hard to keep him together, but he was wonderful.
Do you think
singer.
that after like I think he came full circle, right? There were some interviews with him before he passed that he was clean and sober.
Oh yeah, it took
And I
him.
think maybe he realized that he had made, he hurt his liver. I mean, he basically destroyed it, right?
He went to rehab 5 times before he finally kicked it. So, and how he did it was he had a nurse come and stay with him. I think it was in Sarasota, wasn't it, when he lived here, and stayed with him so that he could get over, the worst of it and do all the medical things that it took. But he finally did.
Pam Snyder.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, did him and Dickie ever have a chance to reconcile?
Sort of before Greg died, Dickie called him when he knew that he was not doing well. And I think they really did reconcile.
Good.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
As good as it was going to get.
The other thing that was hard for Dickie was when he was kicked out of the band, so.
Fired.
But how does that happen? I mean, like, it's basically he wrote all the hits. How does he get kicked out of the band?
I always wondered that. It's a little odd. Almost every single hit that they had was his.
Because I guess in the
doing.
old days when they set up the lawyers, they set it up as the two brothers, right? Allman Brothers, and maybe like they had the head what do you call it? The head mark, or whatever they call it, the corporation, where that was their band, and then Dickie was a highly paid, member, not a member.
But that wasn't the case. It was Greg and Dickie that started the band. Greg wasn't even. I mean, Dwayne and Dickie that started the band. Greg wasn't even there.
So maybe if he got fired, maybe there was he got paid off. He bought out. No.
No, what happened was that he had asked his accountant to do an audit of the band's finances, and they didn't like it. That was the truth of what really happened.
There was lots and lots of money that the band wasn't getting paid.
They were getting scammed on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so they always said it was because Dickie was being too wild, and he was, don't get me wrong. But the real reason was money.
Now, Dickie went out and did some really good solo records, man.
He did fabulous with Great Southern.
Great Southern, yeah.
Bougainvillea, one of the most beautiful songs he ever wrote. Do you know that song?
I don't know.
Right here.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah, it was Atlantis Burning Down.
Yep.
You know that one?
Yep.
I don't really know. I'm not really up to speed on his catalog,
Oh,
but I will.
beautiful,
I will listen to it.
beautiful songs. Absolutely gorgeous.
And he had a chance to play with his son, which is cool.
Yes.
And his daughter was a musician, right?
Kim.
Yeah.
Kim, yeah.
Betts, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is Kim still performing?
No, not much. She's actually teaching music right now.
So Kim was the first daughter.
I ran into Melissa Trucks, one of the Trucks' girls. I guess was it Butch's daughter, maybe? Or would it have been? Yeah, I don't know how old she would have been. But she played at the Big Top Live.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Big Top Live was there, and then it's no longer there. That was going to become Parrot Live,
Right.
and then it blew up, which was a shame.
Oh, real shame.
Because
everybody's going to miss
It's
it.
already sold out now.
Yeah, it's probably going to be medical or some shit there probably
Yeah.
right now.
Who knows?
A pizza place and something else.
Damn.
Yeah.
They already figured out what it's going to be.
They've already sold out the property where the show driveway was. They sold out behind where the stage was, and
Damn.
making a pizza something up front.
I don't think we need any more pizza places. We need live venues, man.
I know.
We do.
We're gonna try. We're gonna
As
start
a
doing that
musician
over.
myself,
We're gonna try
I'm
to start getting
entertained.
live music going over in Palmetto. We first start trying to get it done at the Marriott Hotel, and we're trying to smooth all that out, try to make it where we can do it. If we can't do it there, we're gonna try to maybe do it at the fairgrounds in Palmetto.
Is this like a breaking story that you're telling on the
Yeah.
Jacked Up
Yes,
podcast?
that's exactly right. Yes.
Yeah,
So you got some people together and you got some money together. Is it all like worked out?
we've got backers. We've got about 50 bands we could work with.
No shit.
Yeah,
Well, please think of Jacked Up if you need a bit local band. When
Well,
this happens.
I'll keep you jacked up.
But you do have to know he's connected, right?
Well,
With
yeah,
so
obviously.
many people. So many
No,
people.
everybody says nice things about Phil. And Phil's appearance is like you can always see, hey, there's Phil. Like you can see him from a distance with your hair and your beard, right? He's got that look, right?
He's an icon.
He's an icon.
Yes.
He's a Sarasota icon.
Right.
Hey, you know what I'm thinking about doing? You're going to love this idea, man. It's going to become a 501c3, so there'll be a nice charity, maybe for children. I want to put together a Sarasota Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I want to open
We
it up.
should definitely do that.
Talk to Larry Danner.
I want to open it up to 5 counties. I want
Because
it to
Larry
be
Danner has,
Collier, Lee, Charlotte, Sarasota, and Manatee. I don't care about Tampa. I don't care about St. Pete.
Right.
They could do their own hall.
Right. Exactly.
I want it to be the Suncoast.
Well, as I said, Twinkle and I always say that there were so many fabulous musicians that went on to other big bands
right.
to play that
From out
never
here.
get any
No,
credit
man,
at all.
this region is rich and steep in history and rock and roll. I mean, there's a story to be told here.
Oh,
Now,
big
who's
one.
that gentleman you were talking about?
Which one?
You said,
Oh, Larry Danner.
yeah. Tell me about that guy, because somebody said I should reach out to him. I never met
Larry
him.
Danner has the most. He wanted to start a museum, and he got so upset at people that didn't want to help him out with it. He had more memorabilia than I've ever seen in my life.
Where does he live?
He lives in Sarasota.
Can you introduce me to him?
I would love to, but he's been putting it all out on eBay and stuff and selling it all right now.
And we just
Oh,
hate that.
hope he doesn't
you
sell
know?
it. Yeah, keep it.
Yeah.
Let's do that museum. Hey, look, I know people too. I can get financial backing. Let's go. Let's put this together.
If he's still got anything left, which he should have, he's been selling now for about a year.
Well,
But there are a
he,
lot of
he also
other-
owned the caverns, which he builds. He makes jewelry, custom made jewelry, even for like Chris Anderson stuff. He's made it. He made it even for Johnny Depp, the earring on, and
no shit.
he makes so much fantastic.
After the
Yeah.
show, you and I are going to
Yeah.
talk. I want to
Yeah.
have coffee with this guy and pick his brains.
We can go eat lunch with him.
Perfect. So, let's talk about Twinkle for a little bit, because you had mentioned that you're really good friends with Twinkle.
Twinkle is my best friend in the world. And so her father was Sid's brother, older brother. And of course, we all hung out together, et cetera. So I was 15, I think, when she was born. And
So you're like a big sister in a sense.
Yeah, I would say. Yeah, I was.
Like you were a major influence in her life.
Maybe now, not back then, but maybe now.
Yeah,
And
now I'd say.
yeah, now it's absolutely amazing to me that she isn't the most famous.
Are you
singer.
Are you amazed by her creative process, like the fact that she can make up lyrics on the fly and she can make up tunes and
What,
she hums stuff out and she like
what I'm
improvises.
amazed at is that she has perfect tone and perfect pitch. And as I said, we traveled to Scotland together 2 years ago, and she sang with bands that never saw her before, never heard her before. And the audience was just
Did she like just
blown
get up
away.
on stage with them?
Just get up on
Just
stage. I
get up
mean,
and
she
go.
knew that they were asked her to do
Oh,
it.
cool.
But,
So that was prearranged.
yeah, but they had never heard her before.
Exactly.
Right.
And she was just
Yeah,
fabulous.
I think she's got this American, maybe even a Southern kind of accent to it. You
I
think?
don't know if it's Southern, but it's blues, and
And,
it's,
yeah.
the voice is just
little soul, little soul.
magnificent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
plain out right Twinkle. That's all you can say.
Yeah,
So-
she
so
has
she's
her own
unique.
voice.
There's no doubt
Very
she's
much
unique.
so.
Completely unique.
So here's the strangest thing. She has a brother that she doesn't know about, who's also a musician, who's also
Tony.
very talented.
Ha-
Right.
half
And then they
brother.
meet. How what a great that could be a TV show or a
It
sitcom or a
definitely
movie
could. It definitely could.
because they meet and they're both established.
And they both look exactly alike. I don't know if you ever saw pictures of them,
Really?
but yeah, it was like looking in a mirror. Male and females, they could have been twins. They're 18 months apart.
So let's talk
So-
about let's talk about the fundraiser that you did for Tony.
So Tony had a neck problem, and for some reason, his neck, the doctor who worked on him did something to his neck.
Went in
And-
through his mouth, through his throat to get to the back.
Yeah, and he had no feeling in his hand and couldn't play at all. It scared him to death because he also had been playing since he was,
Yeah.
15 and on the road. And
It's a nightmare.
yeah, and so the whole community got together and we did a benefit for him to get through. He had
Yep.
surgery and it corrected the problem, but they told him that he wouldn't be able to really play for a year. And of course, since they went through his throat, he also had the singing, situation.
Vocal.
And it was just a problem to take that long off.
And he's a working
without any
musician
money.
that's dependent upon
Yeah, that's
revenue.
both he
Exactly.
and
Pay
his
Twinkle.
bills.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that he's ever done for a living for his whole life.
Right. And,
And
he
so-
loves it, and that's what he does.
And so the whole community got together. It was a fabulous event.
Right.
You know,
I was there.
standing room only.
I was there.
Right.
The community truly came out, and there were
Oh, yeah.
musicians, amazing musicians. We could spend an hour just listing the names of the people
Yeah.
that were there.
Exactly.
Chris Hicks, Chris Anderson was just the top
Right.
two right there.
Right.
Right.
Michael Allman.
Yeah, Michael Allman
Mike and
was
Allman,
there.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I spoke to Michael recently.
So he's getting better, and now he's to the point where he can play a couple songs at a time, 2 or 3 songs.
Oh yeah, no.
And he sings.
He'll be back full time, no doubt. I mean,
I'm
you could
sure
tell, yeah.
he'll be back full
And
time.
no, it was cool, man. Leo Benetti and some of his
Yeah.
friends filled in there.
Yeah.
Jimmy DeLisi.
Yeah, Delisa.
Yeah.
Leo was on this show. I love Leo Benetti. Leo
Yeah.
Benetti
I do
is a
too.
great man.
Yeah.
Great guy. I
Great
love that.
personality. Always bubbly.
Oh yeah, man. He's
Yeah.
cool. And, and as a bass guy, we talk about bass, and bass guys are, we kind of hang out because we laugh at the prima donna guitar players that are in front of us. And we always bond with our drummers, because they're our brothers, right?
Yeah.
So the bass players are kind of like those guys in the middle,
Right. But he and Lenny have played together since they were young teenagers. So
Yeah.
that long.
Right. They were like 18 or 19 when they met. So Lenny was on the show also.
Yeah.
And they have great stories about how they met and all these bands that they were in and stuff.
Right.
And the whole New Jersey and the New York circuit.
Yeah, where he was with Big Bad Wolf,
That's right.
which was a very, very famous band in
So
New Jersey.
if any of our listeners want to reach out to you, are you on social media?
Yes.
So they could drop you a line,
They
maybe
can.
say they enjoyed the episode, or
Yeah. Ann Haggerty on Facebook.
okay. So
Yeah.
just your name spelled out.
Yeah.
Is it Ann with an E?
No,
So ANN.
ANN.
But you go as Annie.
I go as Annie. That was the name that Sid gave me as,
It's stuck.
And
Yeah.
so everybody either knew me as Annie or Motorcycle Annie later on
Yeah.
in the area. Yeah,
Very cool. Do you still own a motorcycle, by the way?
I do.
You still ride it?
I do.
Damn.
1400 Harley.
We should have
Softail.
we should make a TV show about her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That'd be great.
I wish I could tell you all the stories
Well,
that we have.
We neither one can tell all the stories.
How about
Yeah.
this? It could be like a superhero thing where like she's, a musician during the day, and then she could be like this fighting crime on a motorcycle at night.
If she was to fight crime, she'd have to stay home with all the people that was hanging out there.
Yeah, you'd be a narc.
True, and you realize that all the time I was doing this, my father was a judge here.
Yeah.
There must have been times when he was not happy with you.
No, he loved every minute of it. He got together with Sid, and he said to Sid, "Now
You
you're
take care of my daughter."
You take care of my daughter no matter what." And Sid
There you
did.
go.
My whole life
Yep.
he did. Actually,
Well, that's very nice.
last thing he ever said to me, just about the last thing, was I was at a gig, and he gave me a big hug and kiss goodbye and said, "You always took care of us, and I'll love you forever for it."
That's sweet.
It was.
That's sweet.
It was.
That's a great way to end the show.
Really.
Phil, how can people reach you?
I'm on
social
Facebook. Yeah.
Or they can basically go to any show that Twinkle's playing at, and you'll be there.
Well, sometimes.
What are the bands you follow? Other bands too. I've seen you at other shows.
I worked with Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. Started off with them in 1969. Marshall Tucker, Charlie Daniels, Allman Brothers, Jimmy Buffett, Foghat, Confederate Railroad, and Outlaws. Well, actually, I did several of them that I didn't even mention.
Do you still go to see the Outlaws when they come to town?
Oh, yeah.
Because they play a lot here. They're always down here.
Yeah,
Well,
Henry.
it's
They do
once
the
in
Yuletide Jam, and they do the
Yeah.
Fort Myers a lot. They're
Yeah.
down there.
and then
St.
there's
Pete.
Once an Outlaw.
Yeah.
Also.
Right.
That's
so
Chris.
you're still tight with Chris Anderson.
Yeah.
Oh,
we all
yeah,
are. Yeah.
I was with him just the other night over at Rock and Barrel.
He's a really nice guy, man.
It's great.
He's so good. I grew up listening to that first Outlaws record. I was a teenager, and I wore that thing out. Green Grass and High Tides is
Yeah.
the greatest. It's an anthem.
It
It's
is.
the greatest Southern rock anthem of all time, no doubt.
That and Freebird.
I think it's ahead of Freebird. Freebird got more radio time probably.
Yeah.
But
it
Green
did.
Grass and High Tides, if you listen to that and you really listen to it, like put the headphones on and you'll be like, holy shit.
And talking about Sid's connection, Sid's son, Tucker Yoakum, who's a fabulous singer and musician, is Chris Anderson's best friend. Chris was his mentor.
It's cool.
So-
The community still stays tight.
So
Oh, yeah.
the community is still together.
All right, guys. Well, listen, I want to thank you all both for coming in. We're going to incorporate some of these pictures into the episode. And thank you for coming. It's been a real pleasure. This has been a great episode. And I look forward to seeing the replay.
We got plenty more episodes if you want to hear them.
We're going to have you back again.
We could tell you stories for years.
I'm sure you can.
Some of them you can even air.
All right, guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you.